What's up, guys? My name is Gabe and welcome back to the Trojan Blade. Welcome back to a brand new video. We're hopping back into transfer portal talk this week. And of course, today we are going to be starting with the quarterbacks. We learned a lot during USC's victory over Texas A&M last week. And one of the more clearer and more obvious things, in my opinion, is that Iamaleava is not going to be the guy next year. That doesn't mean for sure that we're going to bring someone through in the portal that's going to be the starter. Maybe it's Hassan Longstreet. And I know all the media is saying that Lincoln Riley is just going to use these two guys next year and he's completely fine with the quarterback room. Personally, I don't buy that for 1 second. So in today's video, we are going to be going over 3 different quarterback targets for USC. One of these is very realistic. Another one there is a little bit of smoke to. And then the last one is just a guy that I'm a really big fan of that I think would be a perfect fit at USC. But guys, before we get more into it, of course, if you are enjoying the videos, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, if you're looking for a fun and completely free place to talk USC football with Trojan fans, then the Blade Discord server might just be for you. The link to join is down in the description, and again, it is 100% free. Alright guys, now getting into this, let's head up to South Dakota State and talk about Mark Gronowski. Now this is a very interesting one that I think is very realistic. Mark is in the portal now. His head coach just left to take the Washington State job, but while he is in the portal, he is also still awaiting his NFL draft grade. This is a legitimate NFL prospect that the scouts love, and when you watch his game, it's clear to see why. Now, another thing that points here to USC is that Mark is followed by USC quarterback coach Luke Heward, and Mark also follows him. So in today's day and age of college football, that's a very obvious sign of who's talking to who. And again, this is just one that makes a ton of sense. 6'3", 230 pounds from Naperville, Illinois. This is a guy that has had a massive amount of success over there at South Dakota State, one of the premier programs in all of FCS ball. When you watch this guy play, he is a splitting image of Bo Nix. The way they deliver the ball, the size, the arm slot, the touch and accuracy. I mean, they're really just so similar in so many ways. And over the course of his career, Mark has 10,330 passing yards, 93 passing touchdowns with 20 picks. Again, this guy's played a ton of ball. He's also a threat on the ground as well. He ran for 1,767 yards over the course of 4 years and 37 scores. So obviously massively productive. This is also a guy that has played in a bunch of high-profile games. He's won national titles. Schools like South Dakota State, like North Dakota State, Montana State, they get really big crowds, they play in high-leverage games, and the fans and local media demand excellence. It's not like you're playing at UL Monroe or Wyoming, these places that are just kind of fine with who they are. No, at South Dakota State, you have to be competing and winning national titles. You're playing against the best of the best in their sport. And another thing to like is South Dakota State has an outdoor field. This guy has played in all sorts of crazy cold weather, from Big Ten country hailing from Illinois. No sort of weather is going to faze this guy. And when you watch him, the accuracy just blows you away. The ability to layer balls in between 2 or 3 guys. The touch is phenomenal. He reads the field like a pro. It doesn't appear to be the most advanced scheme over there at South Dakota State, but there are some similarities to what we do at SC. And unlike Iamaleava, this guy is an actual threat to run with the football. Really, when you take a look at this guy, the only 2 concerns you have, and they're not even really concerns, I would say that he doesn't have an elite arm. I do think his arm strength is better than Miller Moss, and pretty much he can make every throw we're going to ask of him. He's not going to throw it 40 yards off his back foot like Caleb Williams would, but he has more than enough arm strength to get the job done. And then obviously coming from the FCS, it's just a level of competition, which if you know anything about FCS ball, especially those Dakota schools, they have some pretty good quarterback play. We've seen guys like Carson Wentz and Trey Lance go in the top 3 of the NFL draft. There's some legit football being played at these schools. And man, Mark is just a guy that has all the experience. He's a very talented kid. This is a multiple-time team captain, a national champion, and just a big-time player that I think would be a massive addition to the QB room. And again, this is a guy that will be drafted in this year's NFL draft if he decides to go. Now, where in the draft is he going to fall? Not sure about that. But if you're Mark and you know you're going to get drafted and you have 1 more year left of college ball, what better place is there to improve your stock than Lincoln Riley and USC? With Jacoby Lane, with Makai Lemon, with these weapons, with the running game, it's a perfect fit. He's a perfect fit in the Big Ten. And yeah, with him and USC quarterback coach Luke Heward following each other, that's a very good sign to me. And for sure makes this one seem like it could be very realistic. Also, just looking at the quarterback plan going forward, bringing in a guy like Mark that has 1 year left, that has a ton of experience playing football, has a lot of knowledge and wisdom that he can pass down to a guy like Hassan Longstreet. To me, this just feels very similar to the Kansas City Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes thing, where you have the young superstar waiting, but learning from this guy that's been there, done that, and is a very good player in his own right. For what we're looking to do going forward, the timing lines up perfectly, and I think a guy like Hassan Longstreet would benefit very much from having a guy like this in the quarterback room. All right, and next up, and yes, there is some actual smoke to this, it's Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava. So like kids do in today's day and age of social media, Nico did put out a cryptic Instagram post, I think a few days ago, which seemed to be implying that he is contemplating entering the transfer portal. And with him obviously being a Long Beach kid from Southern California, this is a guy no doubt I could see Lincoln taking a swing on. Now, I have seen some Trojan fans say, well, what's the difference between him and Jaden? Whether you're talking about Miller Moss or Jaden Maiava, Nico's talent laps the both of them. Just talking about pure physical gifts. 6'6", 215, throws one of the most beautiful balls you will see. And unlike guys like Miller or Jaden, Nico is a natural, fluid athlete. He covers a lot of ground. He's a legitimate running threat. And I think there's a massive misconception about what Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel actually is. He's not a quarterback developer. The scheme they run there is basic at best, and it works pretty well when you have 3 NFL wideouts like they did 3 years ago. They didn't have that this year. When you're just layering streaks on top of each other, if you don't have elite NFL athletes, it's not going to work. And that's what we saw this year. There was no real game plan. Nico was really put in a bad spot in my opinion. When you're just talking about talent, I don't think there's a more talented player in the country than Nico. There's a lot of people on this planet that just can't do what he can do. Doesn't matter how hard you train, how much you practice, he has gifts that don't come around very often. So if he is available, is this a guy Lincoln should pursue? In my opinion, 100% yes. Do I think that's going to happen? I'd say it's a long shot. But again, a California kid that isn't being developed at a school like Tennessee, it just makes a lot of sense. Now it's going to be very expensive, but it is for sure something to keep an eye on. And now for the last one, there's no smoke about this one, just a massive fan of this player. We're talking about Jake Retzlaff from BYU. This is also a Southern California kid from Corona, California. Actually went to RCC over there in Riverside before transferring to BYU. And man, this guy is a legitimate dual threat quarterback. Sometimes the decision making can be a little iffy, not to the level of a guy like Jaden or anything, but he'll have an interception every 2 games or so where it's just like, what are you looking at, dude? But yeah, he ran for 417 yards this year with 6 scores. Also throwing for about 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 picks. Again, a little high in the interceptions for me, but he does check some boxes for you. Local kid, very good athlete, very good runner of the football. Also a very cerebral player. You routinely see him go 1, 2, 3 in his progressions. He can scan both sides of the field, very accurate when throwing downfield. And yeah, very big fan of his. Again, no inside information at all. Just saying if he does enter the portal, that's one to watch out for sure. All right, guys, but that is all I have for you today. There's not a lot to go on. The Mark Gronowski one does feel like there's a little bit of juice to it. So keep an eye on that. I, of course, will have all the breaking news from the transfer portal covered here on the channel. So make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because I don't know what YouTube does with the USC algorithm, but I've talked to some other USC content creators, and our videos do not get sent around at the same rate as other schools. So make sure you do that here. Go subscribe to my guy Tim Prangley at the USC Voice of College Football, and also over at his Trojan Conquest channel. Make sure you check out the guys from Light the Torch, and also make sure you go check out Preston from Preston's Paradise. He is an up-and-coming star in this space. He's a name to know for sure, and he does a fantastic job. But guys, I am going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much all for watching. You're all awesome, and as always, take care and fight on.